I was watching at that time. My wife was watching with me, and my wife could not care less about disc golf. She tries to pretend for us because we play and all that kind of stuff, and she'll watch scores while we're out, but only so she knows when we're done, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome in to episode 12 of the Players Meeting. Tonight's show is not just a good one, it's an absolute great one. We're going to recap all that was in Emporia, the Dynamic Disc Open. I was there in person, Smitty was there in person, Ronnie was there in person, and there were some amazing moments. Joining us tonight is FPO up-and-comer Emily Weatherman, who has my vote so far for Rookie of the Year. We'll take a look at our picks for the Dynamic Disc Open, give an update on Survivor League 2.0, and take a look at our favorite moment from this weekend. You don't want to miss this one. But before we jump into the action, hey, you watching, you listening with those beautiful ears, if you haven't, please subscribe to YouTube at Disc and Deals Coverage. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Just search the words Win Dummies. We would love to hear from you as well, so make sure you drop us a comment on the YouTube and let us know you're watching. Thanks for listening, and let's get back to the main attraction, which is the one-time world champion, Chris Smith, a.k.a. Smitty, and the Step Pup Master, Mr. Ronnie Unruh. What up, dudes?
What's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Dodging tornadoes here.
Oh, yeah.
You should be happy you're in St. Louis.
Well, I was dodging puddles. It's rained here seemingly for the last week, they say. So it's a wet, sloppy mess over here in St. Louis.
No thanks.
Well, good thing you're there for work, not Frisbee golf.
If anybody knows anything about me, I'm going to squeeze in Frisbee golf no matter what it is. So
that's true. That is true.
Well, fellas, let's jump into the action. Let's start where we always start. What's poppin'? What's been happening around the world of disc golf? And we know that this week, what's poppin' was the Dynamic Disc Open. Woo! Some good things happening this weekend. So let's just jump right into it. Let's talk, ladies, round one. The wind was down and conditions were absolutely perfect to score. But you know what? None of the ladies were able to take big advantage of the conditions. And after 18 holes, we had a 5-way tie at the top at -1. King, Gannon, Emily Weatherman, Wynn, and Hanley. 4 more ladies finished at even, and 3 settled at +1. Let's look at the men. The men took full advantage of the conditions and shredded Champions Landing. Many of the usual suspects, you can see Ricky there. You also had Calvin at 10 down, AB and the Bazooka at 9 down, and Ezra Robinson. Marweed Dickerson at 8 down in a 3-way tie. So Rick with an incredible 1067 and Calvin with a 1061 rated round. And going into day 2, round 2 for the women, Lisa Fakis scorched her way to the top of the leaderboard and the first 1,000 rated round of the event for the women. The hot round was only good enough for a share of the lead with King and Missy. Handley won back, and the youngster, Emily Weatherman, at even. On the men's side, the lead card had their share of struggles. AB and the Bazooka slipped from the lead card. Rick and Calvin both maintained the top places. The big movers, both named Gavin, rocket up the leaderboard, and both Babcock and Rathbun shot the 8 down, 1050 rated round. Round 3 for the women. Things got very interesting, and we'll talk all about this soon. The women continued to battle until late in the round, with a handful of them within a shot after 16 holes. At the end of regulation, King and Gannon found themselves tied. A 3-hole aggregate score playoff ended with Gannon, the event champion, and taking home the $5,500 paycheck. Big money Missy strikes again. On the men's side, Calvin came out firing on all cylinders, getting birds on the first 7 holes. He had 4 on Ricky and Gannon pushing on the chase card going into the pivotal hole 16. Calvin throws a drive that looks like it's going to be deep in the drink, but it catches the fence and breaks all laws of physics by bouncing towards the basket. Rick throws what looks like a perfect drive, hits the fence, and ends up OB. Calvin goes for the putt that he doesn't need to and stays safe. Rick is forced to lay up. This swing puts momentum on Vinny's side. Rick out of the event. Calvin birds 17, throwing yet another aggressive shot over the OB that he doesn't need to do. 18 is just a formality. And Vinny plays safe, chips up, lays up, and raises the blown glass trophy. What a weekend, fellas. What a weekend. I really enjoyed being there, but there were some changes on the course, and I want to talk about some of those changes. Smitty, what did you think about the course?
I thought 18's change was cool. I didn't like the change on 16. I felt like the change on 7, the OB Creek in the middle, made that hole a little bit more interesting and made it, I mean, it's already one of the greatest holes on the course. And that OB right in the perfect landing zone really changed the way people played it. So that, I think all those changes were great, except for the drop zone on 16. I wish it was still the other drop zone, and to think that Jeremy Rusko owns that, and now they have the ability to do more things like 18. And the way that was cleared out there as you cross that bridge on 18 makes me wonder what's going to happen back that way, if anything.
Mm-hmm. When I first got there and we walked over by that hole, it looked like that was cleared for a reason. Like maybe that there's going to be something in there at some point, but who knows? I mean, I don't think you put thousands of dollars worth of limestone around that green without it planning to be the green for, at least the foreseeable future. I thought because of the conditions, that was about as fun as Champions Landing, the country club, whatever you want to call it, has played in recent memory. It wasn't quite just the throw it as far as you can and go get it kind of scenario. It did play a little more strategically than it had in the past. I think part of that was wind direction for most of the week. I think that really played a big factor. And while the winds never got to, some of that 30 or 40 mile an hour wind like we can see sometimes in Emporia, having played up there all week in the 8 event, I can tell you it was blowing 15 to 20 a lot of the time. And it was just that windy enough to really make things complicated and difficult. And I think you saw that in the players that found their way to the top. And we had kind of the cream of the crop.
Yeah, 100%. There was no slouches up there. That's for sure. Let's talk 16 a little bit, though. Let's dig into it a little bit. Ronnie, what's your take on the drop zone?
It was so good before. It's one of those things where why change something that's really good? I know it's a little bit of a speed of play issue, maybe, but it's just positioned where it's an absolute never going to go for it. The only person I saw go for it all weekend was Paul, and Paul was so far gone by that point that he was chasing every stroke he could possibly get. There was no layup ever in his game yesterday on Championship Sunday. Why mess with one of the greatest holes in our sport? I would never touch it ever. I just, since they put in that tee pad on the dock, I mean, it's become, to me, like I said, one of the top 5 holes in our whole sport. And I just wouldn't touch it. I mean, when you have a good thing, leave it alone.
Yeah, I don't like it with the drop zone on there at all. I like the fact that the other drop zone was farther from the pin, but more people ran it. Mm-hmm. Like people who are OB are literally just going to the drop zone, laying up, walking away with 4. The other one, people tried to make it, and we did see people make it. We saw Rick make it. Mm-hmm. We saw people, run it and hit and go back into the water. So there's still a risk there from that other drop zone. But I'm move that sucker back there. I do think that one tree hanging down right there at the drop zone could be trimmed back because We'll talk about the ladies playoff or ladies final few holes here in a minute, but that shot that Lisa had to throw was next level awesomeness.
That's
Lay
great.
up and get up there. That was that was a butt pucker for sure.
Yeah, that was a special shot. I think I would make a small change on hole 16. I think I'd move that basket back about 4 feet. If you move that basket back 4 feet away from the water, all of a sudden more people are going to run that putt from the wall. Maybe you leave that. Maybe you can have that drop zone on the island that way, and somebody's at least going to try to make it. But where it's at, it's just so close to the water, and it drops off that false front on that island anyway. I mean, it's a no go. It's even a no go for someone who hits the island. It becomes an incredible shot, one of the coolest holes you'll ever see. But a lot of times, if you're not just ice cold parked, it's an automatic layup.
Yeah, the other change I would make is, and it would be much tougher than moving the pin back a little bit, is I think the hole's just a little bit too long for the ladies. We had 4 birdies and 5 pars round 1 out of 43 players. So 9 people. Round 2, 0 birds and 10 pars. Round 3, 3 birds and 6 pars. So that's a small percentage of the field scoring pars. Now we did see in the playoff that both of them birdied that sucker in the playoffs.
When it mattered, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different. I mean, you hate to not utilize that dock tee because it's just cool, but maybe have the ladies tee off from where we used to in the original iteration of the country club, where we teed off a little more farther to the right, not the full length of the pond. And it actually gave you that option of if you weren't feeling it or whatever, you had that little option of the layup on the right side. It made it a little more of a something you could do, but it's just right on the outer edges of what a lot of the ladies can reach, especially into what's generally a stiff headwind, although it wasn't really every round this week.
I saw multiple women throw that sucker and land safe by 2 or 3 feet and then spin on the slope and slide right back in. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're trying to throw it to the pin. I think they're trying to smash it onto the island.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, but for the men, perfect dang hole.
Yeah, it's a great hole. And yeah, I mean, I remember the days when there wasn't the wall and the pin was farther back on the island. You were much more concerned about the long OB than you were the short OB. It's such a perfect hole. You want everything to go smoothly on that hole. And it just seemed like the ladies it was almost too much of a challenge this week. But for the men, yeah, I mean, you throw a really good shot, you're going to get a good result. Unless you're Ricky and Calvin, I guess.
And what about having Obi-Wan Kenobi spotting on that hole? That's pretty cool.
It was fantastic. That was so cool, dude. I didn't even really, I guess, I was playing. I kind of lost track. I didn't realize it was May 4th. I didn't realize it was Star Wars Day. It kind of made sense after I started watching the coverage. And yeah, whoever decided to come up with that needs a gold star.
Well, those guys on 16 are just having a blast the whole tournament. The Mingos, they call themselves. So
yeah.
And we won't talk about day 3 spotter.
Dang.
The day 3 spotter. I don't know who he was, but man, he if it's inbounds, just say it's inbounds. It's okay.
Yeah, I
Whoever
think,
you are, day 3 spotter.
Day 3 spotter may have messaged and said that they were told that if it's on the line, if it's on that string at all, they throw up an X regardless.
That could have been really pivotal in how that thing played out.
Yeah. Haley didn't even look at it.
It was one of those scenarios where luckily it didn't force someone to make a decision that they wouldn't have made otherwise. But no, I mean, I can't fault him, dude, especially if they were directed to do so. Whoever day 3 spotter was.
Yeah, Travis. What about hole 18, boys? What do you think of that?
Love the change.
I only wish it was. I start to say I wish it was just a little bit longer, but I think it's kind of perfect.
It's great.
It's kind of perfect because you got the 2 different ways to cross and go for the green and 2. Both are equally dangerous. Let's say AB leaves it short in the water on that one over the top. Now he's throwing 4 from 20 feet closer than he already was. And then he has to go. There's no more laying up then.
And it doesn't have to be short in the water either. It could be hit the tree and right of the island. It could be miss the island. It's all last inbounds. So on the island when he threw that shot, and that was a freaking missile, man.
Yeah, it
So
was so sick.
I think it works out good. You got the ability for someone to do that, and we saw several threes, but we saw a couple 10 cup holes too. So
Hmm.
it gives you that ability to provide some drama if things are close enough. Unfortunately for us this week, Vinny was a little too far ahead for it to really give us that drama, but it could happen.
it
For
happened
sure.
in the women's. Missy threw a beautiful up shot from out of position, second shot from out of position to even put the pressure on Haley. Yeah, I mean that whole work, dude. It's better than what it was before. It was throw the guys who could throw 600 feet, threw it up the fairway, threw over the top, and either putted or laid up, depending on where they landed. Now AB's drive was almost as awesome as his approach to the green because he threw a mid range over it so he could land short and right, and that's not a big landing zone over there.
No.
And
Mhm.
so I mean that, whew, baby, that was awesome.
That was
And
sick.
he needed it too because he was a little bit on tilt.
And we've talked about that kind of whole design a few times in episodes past. That I tend to really like something where it forces you to throw something slower first and then speed up on the second shot, making that second shot more difficult. Or you have the way that Ezra Robinson did, where he
Hmm.
threw it way up there and then took the gap through the trees,
Yeah.
which was also a really definitive landing zone to be able to even have that shot. But it's no, I liked it. It's way better than the old hole. The old hole was so many people laid up. If they were outside 15 feet, they just laid it up. That basket is too high in the air on too big of a slope. Nobody even tried to make it.
And I don't
Yeah.
know where that hole landed on toughness of holes, but it had to place one of the easier holes, I would think. There was a round two, 50% of the field eagled or birdied that sucker. So I think if you wanted to, you could go across, chip, across, and should get a birdie look every single time. Yeah, I loved it. I liked it a lot. Lucas, what'd you think of the 3-hole aggregate playoff? Ronnie and I love it.
Yeah, I just had never heard of it. Is it brand new? Is
To
it
disc golf.
is it a tournament thing that Dynamic Disc Open chose to do, and it's not like every tournament? Or what happened there? I thought it was cool, but I was like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah, so I think I don't know whether it's a tournament director's discretion to do something like that. My guess that it probably is. So if, in professional golf at the major championships, the only major championship that has a playoff that is in sudden death is the Masters.
Hmm.
In the Open Championship, formerly known as the British Open, that's a 3-hole aggregate playoff. The PGA Championship is a 3-hole aggregate playoff. And the United States Open is actually an 18-hole aggregate playoff with sudden death after that. It's really not that foreign. I think it's a better way to decide a champion after 54 or 72 holes. Do we really want to walk back to the island and see what happened to Rick and Calvin happen and decide a championship that way? I don't.
Aaron Gossage doesn't.
Yeah, Goose Gossage doesn't want to do that, right? That's a great example of a battle we watched happen over the course of 4 days, and it come down to one shot that ended up 9 feet short for Aaron Gossage.
Those 3 holes are perfect for it too. There's a lot of things that can happen. You're not just going to go 3-3-3 or 2 or 3. You're gonna have scores separating themselves out, and I don't know if it'll be the norm everywhere. It should become the norm.
I love it.
My only thing with it was, how did that impact the men's tournament? I know they start quite a ways behind, 20 or 30 minutes, the first card of men, but I'm guessing they were probably pushing them and they probably had to stop them, which then probably backed everything up the entire way.
So I saw that our co-host here, our Lucas's buddy Cole Radalin, only played 16 hole or only played 15 holes yesterday. The first thing that went through my mind, and he was one of them early groups out, maybe the first group out, is that why he didn't finish the tournament? Did the ladies have to go back there and start the playoffs when his group was getting ready to play 16? He's like, you know what? That's it. I'm walking to the shack. It's cold. It's windy. It's rainy. I'm beating feet to the parking lot. That was the first thing that went through my head when I saw that he just elected that he DNF'd the last 3 holes.
Yeah, hard to tell without knowing, but Yeah, it's good. I say roll with it. Now, I don't think every C tier, B tier in America needs to go to that, but for
Some of the
something
bigger
where
tournaments.
when you're playing for thousands of dollars, right? I mean, one of the discussions Ronnie and I had while it was going on is Sarah Hokum was unsure whether she liked it or not. And my exact response to Ronnie was the better players are going to want it. The players who need a little bit of luck aren't going to want it. So, yeah, I mean, I think major championship or a big event like this, you're doing yourself a disservice coming down just to a single hole that could rick off the wall and into the water.
Yeah, let's think about the ladies here. Kind of been talking about it here on and off, but Missy took advantage of maybe some big names not being there, right? Tatar wasn't there, Pierce wasn't there, Evelina, Henna, and a lot of the Europeans. How do you think Missy handled everything? And let's talk about really from 16 to 18 on in the playoff. Ronnie, I'll let you start this one.
I will agree, and I think I've made this comment before. I think Missy Gannon tends to take advantage of when the field might not be its best, or to her credit, when conditions aren't the best. She seems to really kind of be the last one standing at times. And I think this really wasn't a whole lot different. And she found herself down the stretch and like Smitty said earlier, made the absolute shot she had to have when she had to have it on 18 in regulation to even put any pressure on Haley. Haley puts it in the drink there, pressure bust pipes, and it did in that scenario. I mean, for her to even get it to the playoff, I mean, you just have to take your hat off to her to even get into a playoff, regardless of what field she beat.
Yeah, she was dead in the water, I felt, after 16. I think the play that, to me, that was really awesome coming down that stretch was Lisa. She sees, she knows her game. She knows she has to go for that landing zone. The other three gun it, OB. She puts it at the landing zone, walks up there. That cottonwood tree is hanging down in her way. She goes around it, gets on the green, and that was no gimme putt that she canned.
No, not at all.
That was a 20, 25 footer right back at the water, and she drilled that sucker. Unfortunately, that's where her good fortune ended, and she couldn't carry it on through the last two holes. She really struggled on 17, but and then going into 17, what about Haley's shot from what looked like she was pinched on the tree at first, but when they showed the other angle, I think she had enough room there, but still, that was a sick shot over the OB, and the shot that I thought ended it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should have.
Of course, we've already talked about Missy attacking that green on 18 from out of position to put the pressure on Haley, which worked.
Well, let's even go back a little bit further and talk about Emily Weatherman.
Mm-hmm.
She was right there. I'm always the first one to say I hate the advantage to the player rule. It's either out of bounds or it's inbounds. I gotta be honest. All the views we got of that disc on the 18th hole, I would have had a hard time calling that out of bounds.
Did all three of them call it OB?
Sure seemed that way.
It's just crazy.
I could not, unless we just got a terrible angle or a bad view of it or something. But man, it looked like it was as close as absolutely possible. But she did such great work to even get herself in that position.
Mm-hmm.
She was clutch down the stretch.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert, there's a young lady, 18-year-old, who feels the exact same way as you, that she was safe. And she believes it. I mean, you can tell when Lucas and I talked to her here in a little bit, she 100% thinks she was safe. But what impressed me, Lucas, in that interview is the way that she is composed and the things that she said after that point. I mean, she earned me as a fan just by what she said, because I really truly felt that the things she said were true, the way she's going to handle it. So, but I'm wondering if it's warm out, if it's not crappy, if her card makes aren't 5 and 7 over and known to be a little catty at times, if maybe she gets the call. Or if her name is Kristen Tatar.
Yeah, or if she's on any other card, does she get the call?
Yeah, what if she's on the lead car when that happens?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. We saw what happened. And we'll probably, and I know we're going to talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
There was two things that I saw that made me think they don't believe this is out of bounds. One, the look on Robert Burge's face when everybody said out of bounds, and he kind of gives like, "You got to be kidding me," look, right? And then I see Emily throw her second shot. She throws a shot, and she goes down and she looks at it again and looks at it one more time before she picks that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I saw a couple of different angles from it. I don't think I could have called it out of bounds.
Something the exact opposite happened on one of the men's side when someone was keeping score. I don't know if we got to see this on coverage, but one player argued his way into getting a good spot by kind of bullying the rest of his card.
That's what you got to do.
Really.
Yulia has said on their podcast that if he
That's
thinks
him.
he's
It
safe,
was him.
he's going to argue it because he says,
Yeah.
if it doesn't agree, that's my job. Now, she's 18 years old. It's
Yeah.
her first year on tour.
Yeah.
She's playing with some tour veterans. What a tough spot to be in. And I really do feel bad for her because she was out of it by one stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, my heart goes out. I was watching at that time. My wife was watching with me, and my wife could not care less about disc golf. She tries to pretend for us because we play and all that kind of stuff, and she'll watch scores while we're out, but only so she knows when we're done, right? But I was like, she happened to be watching with me when that shot happened. And I was like, man, she's like, that's safe, right? And I was like, so only some part of it has to be on the other side of that line. And I asked her, what do you think? She said, I don't know. I was like, well, if you don't know for sure, then we're supposed to call it safe. She's like, yeah, that's one that I don't know. So I mean, that's someone with no dog in the fight. You couldn't really care less, and she wouldn't have been able to make that call. So
yeah, man, that was tough.
Super tough.
That's
But
not
then-
the only drama we saw on 18.
Yep.
yeah,
So let's get to it. I think it's time. Let's talk about
Well, let's
the playoff.
Let's talk about the whole playoff and get to 18.
Mm-hmm.
That putt that Missy made on 16 was ridiculous. Ridiculous, right?
Yes.
You gunning that, Ronnie?
And I'll say no, and this is why I'll say no. I'm going to take my opponent into consideration. My opponent just gave me my tournament life back to me on the hole before in the last hole of regulation. I'm not worried about going one shot down. I'm going to concede Haley her putt there, and I'm going to take my 3, and I'm going to walk over to the next incredibly dangerous hole and see if I can't pick my shot up there or on the incredibly dangerous hole after that one, right? Absolutely no way in hell am I trying to make that putt.
I'm with you.
Unless
I'm
I'm
laying
down
that up.
2. If I'm down 2, I try to make it. That's the only way.
But you're not. You're all square.
I know.
First hole of a 3-hole
In that
playoff.
situation, there's no way. In that situation, there's no way I run that putt.
Now, if it's
Ever.
sudden death, of course, right? But
Yeah,
not
exactly,
in
right.
this, man. But not Missy, boy. She drained that sucker. That
You
was
did.
sick. First time all weekend, those two birdied that hole. So that's cool. And then 17 played out, right? And Missy, of course, gets to 18, throws it across, walking off, and Haley says, "Foot fault, you stepped on your disc." Are you kidding me, dude? I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure what was happening at first.
Neither was Missy.
And then Missy looked like she was putting her jacket on, ready to walk up and tap up, lay up and call this thing, call it ball game. And then, I was confused of what was going on. And then I hear the comment. I was like, dude, that is you're 4 shots behind in a playoff. This thing is over. And you want to call a foot fault? With it wasn't even a foot fault? I don't know that I would have called a football in that scenario if she would have stepped 8 feet over a disc. You know,
You would have on that, but
I mean, that's the kind of scenario that it was. It was it doesn't do anything but make you look terrible. And I don't want to preach or harp on it anymore, but Haley, obviously struggles with some mental illness or something from time to time, and it's something she battles all the time. But she becomes harder and harder to continue to I want to root for her so bad
she's so
because
good.
she's an incredible golfer.
She's
But
the
she
she's the
continually
two
does
years
things and just
2 years ago Anthony Barella of the women is what she is.
yeah,
The highest ceiling.
she just continually seems to do these little things that just are off-putting, to be honest with you. And that's what
Well,
it
yeah.
was in this scenario for me. It was catty.
Great,
Yeah, for
great
sure.
tournament on the women's side for sure. We've said it before. When Kristen's not there, sometimes these tournaments are a little bit more exciting to watch, because it's not Kristen just running away with it. All right, let's talk about the men. Smitty, what do you want to talk about on the men's side? There's lots of storylines there.
Yeah, man, there's lots to talk about. I think one of the cooler stories from the weekend is Andrew Presnell getting another top 5 on a course that is a monster course, and it was a quiet top 5, but it was a top 5, and that is fantastic for that dude. I hope he just mixes it up, and I hope he gets on feature cards a lot more.
Prez is good, man. We all know this, and now he's got a little confidence to help push him along. We all know Prez can play.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit at the block party, man. Super, super cool cat. Super humble. Another guy that I gotta finally give his flowers to, and I'm never picking against this dude ever again. He's no longer on the Smitty thinks this guy's gonna choke list. Joey Buckets.
Buckets,
real,
that
dude.
final round, dude.
Good God, he's good.
He's for real. He can flat putt it. He can throw it wherever he wants to. That kid, it's only a matter of time, it seems, before he's one of the ones holding up a trophy at one of these big events.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, if we don't have Anthony Barella and Gannon Bird doing what they're doing, we might be talking Joey Buckets for one of the top players of the year candidates, because he's been in the top 5 every week. It seems like he's had one off tournament.
He shot 1084 his last round. 1084.
That's pretty good if you can get it.
Pretty fantastic.
Your guy, AB.
A little bit, it shows you the level of play that we've become accustomed to when we can think, man, what a down tournament, and AB finished 14th. But he did it. He did it in an entertaining way. He's throwing eagles all over the place, and maybe throwing a few more bogeys than we'd like to see all over the place too. But even though it was a weekend, I guarantee he would say he just didn't have his best game for the most part of it. He's still good enough where it was, a tie for 14th, and gave us maybe the most exciting shot of the week.
Yeah, round two killed him. If he just shoots any better at round 2, he's probably in the mix a little better.
Yeah, hole 8 killed him. That second OB, I don't know what he did on that hole. That was one of the worst shots I've seen out of him in a long time. That was crazy, the angle he put on that.
If I was to guess what happened on 8, he doesn't want to throw his go-to disc there, his go-to forehand disc, because he's going to need it the rest of the round. He's got a headwind, so he's going to number 2. Number 2 didn't hold up. Number 2, he didn't have to worry about number 2 anymore. So, that thing is way out there in the middle of that pond. That's fish habitat now.
Yeah.
So
that was his first finish outside of the top 10 all year. I mean, he's still top 15, but Gannon, here comes Gannon, still has not finished outside the top 10. And what a performance by him to jump up into second. You guys want to talk about him a little bit?
I don't know if we have much good to say about him.
He's getting I don't know what you want me to say. Him and Haley are kind of in the same place in my doghouse.
Okay.
I want to like them for their talent and their actions and behavior on the golf course just turned me off, man. I just I find myself not rooting for someone I'm in awe of how they play, and that's
You,
generally not like me.
you know what's crazy is they're close to the same age, right? And then we have Emily Weatherman, who's 18, who acts like a absolute professional, and it's just
Mhm.
crazy that we a lot of times will say, "Oh, they're just young," but you don't have to act that way just because you're young. Some of those things that they do are just, But yeah, so
I'm
let's
So
talk Ezra
frustrating.
Robinson.
That's 2 weeks in a row. That dude looks like he's just miserable trying to win a disc golf tournament.
He's one that all maybe I'm being hypocritical when I say this. What he does doesn't bother me. What his has come from a place of frustration of I put myself into this position by playing well all week, and then I show up on this day and I just don't got it. Right? His isn't coming from a, for lack of a better word, a spoiled little brat to someone who's just being overly competitive and maybe not afraid to show the rest of the world how he feels. You know, not afraid to hide that emotion. I have less of a problem with Ezra. I actually find myself being a pretty big Ezra fan now. I really like that guy. Maybe that's hypocritical. I don't know.
I think I'm with you. I think it's two different things. I think the thing that's rubbing me the wrong way about Gannon is every missed putt's a spit, and every missed putt has a raised hands. And then every interview is, I know I putt hard, I'm going to get spits. So don't complain about it. You already know it. Right. And yeah, and I think Ezra's just, gosh dang, he just wants it so much. And he's just,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I wish he'd just chill just a bit. And I mean, he looks like he might go punch somebody. He
Yeah, he
looks
just
that
doesn't look.
pissed.
He just doesn't look like he's having fun. But Smitty, I've seen you in tournaments where you have kind of that same mentality a little bit when you're in game mode, though, right? Do you see yourself in him at all with that? I know this is a little personal, but
Oh yeah, I get. And currently, I'm really frustrated with my disc golf game. But yeah, I mean, I get upset. I get mad at myself. But I think when I do it, I just try to get away from everybody, which is maybe what he's doing too. And I just don't want to. I don't want to hear people. I don't want somebody to try to talk me up. I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, that was this, that, whatever." I just want to just be, leave me alone, bro.
yeah,
Let me figure it out.
I matter of fact, while we were watching yesterday, I told Smitty that Ezra looked like how I felt all week in Emporia.
yeah,
I just didn't play well. The middle of the second round was as frustrated as I've been on a golf course in a very long time, and I felt myself, while it wasn't quite like Ezra having the strong reactions that he had, I felt myself not being a very good card mate, where I was isolating myself from everybody. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to, say kind of thing. I didn't want to hear you say good shot when I know I missed my line by 40 feet.
yeah,
I was very, I had to compartmentalize and get myself into back in the game. And like I said, I just don't have a problem with what Ezra does. It doesn't rub me the wrong way, like what Gannon is, like Smitty said. And I think what rubs me the most the wrong way with Gannon is
he's
we all
whiny.
know he's good. We all know he's great. He's a generational type talent, but he knows it and he wants you to know it too, right?
Mm,
I think that's what rubs me the wrong way the most is he has this expectation that everybody should just maybe not bow down to him or whatever, but that's the way it feels like to me, right? Like he has a superiority that he feels like everybody should fall in line with him. I just don't. I tend to separate myself from people like that.
yeah, I think with Ezra, it must be such a strange feeling to not play the way you want to play, and then just have just all these cameras in your face, and like, what are you supposed to do a little bit? So I can understand your point of view there for Ezra. Man, I just wish he'd shake it off a little bit and just have some fun. You know what I mean?
I understand all that, but it's also work when they're out there. They're not out there to have fun. It's not fun and games on the tour.
Yeah.
That's a job. We're there to do a job. That I don't have as much of a problem with. I mean, you look at Rick. Rick is a totally different person from a practice round Tuesday to championship Sunday.
That's true.
And Calvin. Rick and Calvin are both the same
It's
way.
all business all the time.
Yeah.
There ain't no chattering. There ain't no high fiving. It's I'm here to do one thing. And that's to beat your brains in. And if it and yeah, I don't have a problem with the let's having fun all kind of stuff.
Okay.
That doesn't
I think
bother
that's
me.
fair. That's fair. Well, let's talk one more player that we haven't gotten into, and McBeast was 10 down through 14. He got the eagle on 14 as well. And then he just kind of crashed and burned. We want to talk about his performance, Smitty?
You ain't first, you're last. That's what happened. That's what happened, man. I mean, yeah, the dude's got it. We know that. It's in there. It's coming around. I know one of these knotheads here is going to pick him to win Worlds when we get there. So I hope he does. I hope he catches fire and gets back to more of the McBeast standard we're used to. But yeah, he was.
I think he already is. We've seen it in more rounds in the last two events than we haven't. And I'm gonna give him a pass on 16, 17, 18 yesterday. That dude still thought he had a chance to win a golf tournament.
Yeah.
That's why he was going. I mean, that's why he ran the drop zone putt. That's why he 10 cupped it on 18. By the time on 18, after he put the second one out of bounds, it didn't matter, right?
Mhm.
The golf tournament was over for him. That dude, when he was still engaged and thought he had a chance to win the golf tournament, was the best player yesterday. Not named Joey Buckets.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I think he's all the way back. I'm gonna call it right now. He's my pick for Worlds, barring a setback. And Paul Macbeth will win a disc golf pro tour event before this year is over.
All right, you
No
heard it
question
here
on that.
first.
I
No
agree with
question
number
in my
two. I agree with number two.
He'll win an event, but not Worlds.
No,
Right,
because Calvin's going to be there.
Okay.
Right.
You think Calvin's winning Worlds this year?
That's who I'm taking. I'm calling it now.
Ooh,
I can't
all
take
right,
him
cool.
again until then. I'll get ridiculed.
Yeah, you are
So-
going to get in trouble.
No, I think there was one other story that could have been an issue that didn't really become an issue, and that was how slow the chase card was playing. The lead card was waiting on them. They were causing a backup and of one card, but still a backup. There was nobody in front of them. So once again, here we have this 30-second rule that we don't really need, but we need to be saying, hey, you got to keep up, man. You got to close that gap. You got to get going type deal.
So we
You
know
got the perfect storm of slow people.
Gannon is notoriously a slow putter. He's worked on it. But who else was on that card that's slow? Was there someone
Kevin
else?
Babcock.
Is he? Okay, I've never really watched him play.
He's super. We'll call it deliberate.
Okay, all right.
Let me look
Okay.
here.
Chris Dickerson's not fast by any
No,
means.
that's true.
He's not the slowest player in the world, but his routine, and he goes through it on every, and his routine is routine. He
Yeah.
goes through it on every shot. It's the full 30 seconds every time,
Okay.
if not, a little bit more. It was just the perfect storm. And then if you don't have someone saying, hey, get going, which we need to have, I mean, that's what our marshals are out there to do. And they were caught on hole 7 after getting a 30-minute head start, I believe, on in that final round.
Yeah.
That's uncalled for. That can't happen.
Right. And I'm assuming there was a marshal on the chase card. There was one on the lead card.
I would
Taco
assume
was,
so. I never saw, but I would assume.
Taco was the marshal for the lead card. I should have said, dude, get up there and get him. So, I mean, I in closing here, I feel like the glass blown open. Oh, excuse me. The dynamic disc open.
Wow.
I know.
How old is this guy?
old. I thought it played out well. It was a fun weekend. I don't know if that's just because it's kind of our backyard, but I know I went up there and had a great time seeing a lot of people I haven't seen in a while and just being around it. And the crowd was pretty dang good, dude. There was a pretty nice gallery. It wasn't as big as it was multiple years ago, but it was nice. It was great.
Yeah, I was up there all week long, at least at some point, and I spent at least some part of every day, other than Sunday, at Champions Landing. I watched all of that from home, but yeah, even on Thursday, there was a pretty good crowd Thursday morning out on the golf course, watching the pros. It didn't feel like maybe late 20 teens GBO, DDO, but the vibe was pretty good in town. Like I said, it wasn't maybe what it was, but it was okay. And I had a good time going to Emporia for the week, and I guess be up there again here in a month.
You good boys are about to really get into it. I had a great time too. Had a buddy come up from Texas, and he brought his daughter, and he's already just getting into the sport. 4 months in, he's already been to Waco, already been to Dynamic Disc Open. So he's caught the bug, and it's pretty exciting. His excitement towards it just makes it more fun to be around. You know what I mean? Because you kind of lose that after you've been around it a little bit. So it's fun to be a part of. Good talk, good conversation. Oh, it is time to talk with Emily. Now, Smitty and I had to do this a little bit earlier before Ronnie was off work, but this is a really good interview. So please stay tuned for that. And let's jump into it now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to introduce you to a new face to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. In her most recent Disc Golf Pro Tour event, the Dynamic Disc Open, she had a third place finish and it was in contention to win the tournament. We'll talk about that tournament tonight with her and hear all about her journey into the game of disc golf. Ladies and gentlemen, Emily Weatherman. Emily, we are stoked to have you on. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, we start all of our shows off with a little segment that we like to call, anytime there's a guest, we do what's called 3 from the tee. And we have 3 questions that we're going to ask you, and I'll let Smitty take it away.
Yeah, we ask everybody these same 3 questions. So, and we've asked a lot of local legends these questions. You're our first guest outside of our circle at all. So this is really cool for us. But
yeah.
Question number 1. Do you remember your first disc, and do you still have it?
I do remember my first disc. It was a Quasar. It's a green Quasar, and I do not have it. I lost it. I don't remember where I lost it, but it wasn't. Maybe like a year ago I lost it. It was still in my bag a year ago.
That's cool.
How long ago did you start?
Yeah.
If I told you an exact time, I'd probably be lying. I've been around disc golf my entire life. But I started playing competitively 7 years ago, I want to say.
Okay. Right on.
All
right. Question number 2. You get to pick 5 people. Well, you're one of them, so 4 people to play along with you. They can be alive, dead, met them, friends, family, whatever you want. Who's your dream 5-some?
Ooh, that's a great question.
That's what we get every time.
Let's see. Gotta go with for sure. Love
Okay.
She's a sweetheart. I'm gonna go Paul Ulibarri.
Oh, Yuli.
People that know, I've always loved Yuli. Let's see. Paige Shue. I've always loved her as well.
Oh, awesome.
She's a sweetheart. Let's see. Gosh, I'm like blanking on the last one.
You only have everybody in the world.
Yeah,
So-
and they don't have to
I know.
they don't have to be touring either. They can be like anyone from back at the old stomping grounds, wherever you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw my dad in there.
There we
Throw
go.
my dad in there.
Gotta
Me
have
and
the
him are very
pops.
competitive with each other. Yeah.
Love it.
There we go.
Love
Awesome. Those are some great picks, man. I've known Yuli and I knew Paige before she was Paige Shue, back when she was a Bjerkes, and she was
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah.
little bitty booger. So, yep.
Uh-huh.
And you're right. She is an awesome person for sure.
She is.
And our last question: what is your favorite disc golf memory?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I'm gonna say playing with my people back home, like in almost any time playing with everybody back home. I know we had a fundraiser for me to go to Worlds, and everybody there was so amazing. They supported me so much, and I'm so thankful for it. So that's gonna probably be my favorite disc golf memory.
There,
That's
and where
awesome.
exactly is home?
Abilene, Texas.
Okay, that's I knew that. I looked at PDGA, and so
PDGA told on you.
we did a little stalking beforehand, maybe.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, a little bit. Well, that's awesome. Well, Emily, according to PDGA, you've been a member of the PDGA since 2018, and you were just a youngin'. You played in 12 and under division, so that was your first, I guess, PDGA event. So who got you into playing disc golf?
My dad. My
Okay.
dad brought me, my mom, and my brother all into disc golf. We all played it a lot when I was younger. I didn't really like it that much whenever I was just starting out. My brother really enjoyed it, and then we kind of swapped. Whenever he got older, he stopped playing, and I started playing more and getting more serious about it.
That's awesome. And so I know you said for about 7 years. So I guess I don't even know how old you are, Emily. How old are you?
I'm 18. I just turned 18 at the end of March.
Okay. So in those early days, 12 and under, that really wasn't competitive. You were just out there throwing some discs, having some fun.
I've always been very competitive, so there was definitely some competitiveness there, but it wasn't anything like I am now.
Okay. Because it looked like the year after you were playing, junior 12, then you started playing advanced and like winning tournaments. You had to be super young then, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact age. I have a terrible memory, but yeah, I started playing in advance very, very young. I even started playing in open very, very young.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
you played some MA1 and MA2, I saw, and mixed it up with some dudes, and that has to be awesome.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love playing with men. It's great.
Yeah, I can. Just probably a different level of competitiveness.
Yeah, it is. It's they get some of them get scared to be beaten by a girl, especially a girl that's under the age of 18.
And not a very tiny girl. You're not very tall, are you, Emily? Like, how tall are you?
I'm 5'2".
Okay, I was gonna say. I saw you this
I'm
weekend.
tiny.
Yeah, I saw you this weekend while I was out there, and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize she's so tiny. But you throw the disc so darn well, and it really doesn't matter your size. You're still slinging that disc. So, are you sponsored by anyone right now?
My only sponsors are Raise Energy Abilene, which is just an energy drink kind of thing. But manufacturer, no, I'm not.
Oh, that's gonna change real quick, huh, Smitty?
Yeah.
Could possibly. So, are you throwing multiple companies, or what's in the bag?
Yeah, I throw a lot of Innova, Trilogy. I put with Mint Profits, which I saw a post that was talking about it. I think Des posted me on her story as well, talking about my Mint Profits. Yeah, I throw a very mixed bag. So, and don't know about changing it up quite yet.
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be very tough. Especially if you've been having that bag for a while too.
And having great success with what you're currently throwing, and you're really lucky that you're starting your career in a time of disc golf where every manufacturer has every disc you could ever want. So
Yes.
there was a time where you had to work to find what you wanted. Now there's just, if you like the Destroyer, every company has a Destroyer of some sort. So
Yeah. That was the main
for
thing I
sure.
was throwing this weekend was a destroyer.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when
Good
that
disc.
wind's up, that's a great disc for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, and that putter, the Prophet, is that what you said?
Yes.
Man, you were banging that thing in from all over. Every time
Yeah,
I
you were.
saw you on the coverage, you were making a big one. So that was awesome
Yeah.
to watch.
Putting is normally my strong suit.
Hey, man, if that's your strong suit, you're good to go because putting travels. So
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. And let's talk about lead card. Let's talk now. Were you on lead card earlier this year? Were you like on a feature card in Texas?
I was on second feature card at Texas State's.
Okay, I thought you were, but this is your first real lead card experience, right?
Yes. Yes.
Gosh, that's so cool, and it just feels like you really held your own so well, and that probably comes because of your competitiveness. But how did it feel? How were the nerves when you're on lead card?
Yeah, so the nerves were definitely very high. I feel like I controlled them, handled them very well. Playing with nerves has always been something that I've kind of got used to. So with all the people being there watching on live, I love to show off and show them how I can really play. So it was fine.
Yeah, and
you handled it great. You look like you're comfortable, and I mean, I didn't see any shakiness. So that's awesome. Sometimes those nerves you can channel and really feed off of that too.
you handled the pressure really, really well, and then your chase card going into Championship Sunday, and you were playing phenomenal. You were right around the hot round of the day, going into hole 18.
Oh,
Yeah.
And let's talk about it, Smitty.
it looked like to drive was a little low off the tee, and it hit and skipped, and then I could tell you could see right where it was headed, and you walk up there, and man, it is as close as it can possibly be. I mean, and I'm just seeing the pictures on the internet. I'm not there looking down, but oh my gosh, what a tough call to make either way.
So the tee box was quite slippery. So I definitely wasn't comfortable going off of that tee. And immediately when I released it, I don't know if they really showed my reaction to it, but I kind of put my hands on my knees and knew that I had messed up. But getting up there, I thought that it was in. I could see it touching grass. So I tried to fight for it. My card mates, unfortunately, said that it was out, and there's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, I know that. It puts you in a pickle, man. I think, and you handled it well. Like you didn't
Extremely classy.
You didn't show any emotion. I mean, we could tell you were upset when you went back and looked at it again after you threw. I could tell right there that you felt yourself 100% that you would have given it to any of them had it been flipped around.
I would have, and I still would. I'm not gonna let it change how I feel about the players. If it ever comes down to it, I'm gonna make the right call no matter how I feel about who's on my card.
Yeah, that's awesome. How far were you from the pin at that point? Did you guys range it?
I did. I ranged it to right across the water, not even up to the basket, and it was about 355 feet. And I wasn't comfortable with throwing that, especially carrying over water and with the weather conditions, afraid of it slipping. So I just decided to lay up and take a bogey.
That's tough. That's hard to do. And then, hindsight's 2020. You probably thought back, man, I should have gunned that sucker to give myself a shot.
Yeah, I've had that thought, but at the same time, I think that I made the smart decision.
Oh yeah.
And my caddy also told me that I shouldn't be going for it and I should just lay up. So I figured I would probably listen to him about that. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. I got a podium finish. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll have plenty more. I'm here. I'm here to play.
I love it.
Awesome. That is awesome.
It was such a tough call, but yeah, I just really want to really commend you the way you handled the situation, and then your attitude towards the situation. Still, it's a beautiful thing. So I was looking at some of your past on the PDGA, and it looks like, is this year the first time you've played any DGPT events?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
We know you really handled the lead card well, but let's talk about just touring now, right? We got you on the middle of the highway doing an interview with you. This is the road life, right? So talk about how the road life's been, if you got any travel buddies, and how adapting to that has been for you.
So it's been stressful for sure. Right now I'm in the middle of trying to get a van, but I'm also trying to hit up all these tournaments while doing that. So to get a van, I'd have to go all the way back home to leave my car at home. So I'm not exactly sure how the timing's going to work out there. But I started out traveling with one of my buddies from home, and he ended up going back home. So now I'm traveling with Chandler and Rob at the moment. We're all sticking together as friends, making sure that we all get there safely, and it's been a lot of fun. So
Awesome,
I'm happy.
man.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be traveling. I feel
That's
so
cool.
lucky to have this opportunity.
Yeah.
And where are you currently headed?
I am going to Santa Cruz, California for the Masters Cup, I believe is what it's called.
Do you get to play De La Viega?
Yes.
Or the original. So that'll be awesome for you. That's that place is a thing of beauty. So
Yeah. But it's a long drive. I think you told me like 27 hours or something crazy like that.
Yes, 27 hours. It is a hike.
Yeah, no doubt. And so you're traveling with Rob and Chandler. I know I saw Rob on your bag. Was he caddied for you most of the tournament? Yeah, and he was playing too. He like had a close to a top 20 finish, didn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He played very well, especially that last round. He didn't even warm up. He had 15 minutes to get to his tee time after I finished.
he just ran to his tee time, and he had to be there 5 minutes early. He can't forget that.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. I love that you have some companions and you're going well. Smitty, do you have another one you were going to ask here?
Well, I mean, if this is your first year on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I think you've this weekend helped put you in a position where you might get the be in the running for that Rookie of the Year for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Because even though it's not your first year playing pro, you can still win it because Juliana won it a couple of years ago, and she's been playing pro forever. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I've been kind of looking at it. I've been talking about it with people, and I think that my performance this past weekend is going to definitely help bump me up there.
And what you're going to do on down the road, because I mean, you're not going to go away. That wasn't a flash in the pan type thing. That's going to be, you're going to make some noise, I think, out there on the West Coast. So
yes, I have a lot of confidence going into the next tournaments. So I'm just hoping to kind of stay in that confidence and not lose it.
that's right. Absolutely.
Sure. So what are some goals for you, Emily? You've already got a podium finish. Goodness gracious! I mean, it's not even halfway through the season yet. You already podium. What's next for you? What's on Emily's goal list?
I really just I want to get a win so bad. I thought that this past weekend I was going to, Starting out, I was feeling very good that last round. I felt great about everything. My warm up was great. I am still like I said, I'm so proud of how I played, and I think that this momentum is going to carry into these next couple of tournaments coming up. So hopefully I can at least maybe get a second place, but hopefully I get that first place here soon.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
well,
the chances.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're definitely going to be rooting for you. We saw your performance this weekend and we're like, we have to get her on the show and really just shout you out for how you handled everything, how well you played, and just letting you know that we're big fans and we're rooting for you every step of the way.
Well, I appreciate that so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Yeah, so thanks for coming on. Good luck the rest of the year, and we'll be checking in on you.
Dang right we will.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, welcome into Wheel of Debate, where we are going to have a debate right on the spot. We have a wheel. We're going to spin this sucker, and it's going to tell us what topic they're going to debate right now. Here's our topics. Our list is growing ever smaller. So if you have some ideas for some topics, please shoot them over. Comment on the YouTube video. And here we go. Today it's going to be the DZ, the drop zone on an island, should be makeable.
Timely.
Very
That is
timely.
timely.
Very
That
timely.
seems set up. That seems set up.
So this is very interesting, right? Because honestly, this just truly did happen. And from what I heard, we didn't really love it. So
Wait.
let's see.
Don't roll yet. We got to know who won last week. So who we're rolling for?
Oh, come on.
So last week, there were 2 votes. Thank you so much. We have doubled our vote count. And with 2 votes to 0, Smitty has won.
That's a butt kicking in our book.
Who are these people?
Greg Renfro.
And I think it was Luis. They always say sorry, though. When they vote for someone. Sorry, I'm going to have to go with.
That's because they're all our friends.
Yeah, they do feel a little bad.
We need some people that don't like us to vote.
All right, so here we go. This is going to be for Smitty. Is he going to be a pro or the con side? So Smitty, it's going to be tough to be beat here. So this is what's going to happen, Smitty. You do not think a drop zone should be makeable on an island. Ronnie, you do. Now let's get a timer on the clock. All right, a minute is on the clock. Smitty, you're going to start us off. You do not want the drop zone on an island to be makeable. You don't think it should. 60 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, hit it.
I think the first thing you have to do in this scenario is define what makeable is. Is makeable a 60-footer? Is makeable inside the circle? Let's just look at this weekend with the Diamond Disc Open. They actually moved the drop zone on hole 16 closer to what is a makeable putt. So I don't know if makeable is the defining factor here. The old drop zone that was much farther, twice as far, gave the guys the opportunity to run it. Some of them did accidentally make it. So I don't think makeable is the correct term. Now, I don't think that a guy should necessarily have an opportunity to save his par after throwing a bad shot, especially on this island. I think that it should be probable, but not necessarily, the thing that's going to happen. So the drop zone should be fair, unlike this last weekend's, but not necessarily inside the circle or makeable.
All right. Thank you so much, Smitty. Ronnie, you get the other side of this argument. You think it should be quote unquote makeable. You got 60 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3, 2, 1, and hit it.
While we're defining makeable. Was that shot made from the tee once this weekend? Yes or no? Yeah. Everything is makeable. If you can reach the basket, it's makeable. Right? Now, should it be a gimme? Maybe not, but why not at least put a situation where someone wants to make it or tries to make it? Instead, I think that should happen on every drop zone, whether it's from 40 feet, 80 feet, or 150 feet. Right? Give someone the opportunity to at least save their hole, not make a triple bogey just because you put it in some stupid spot, right? Yes, yes. Everything is makeable and should be makeable.
All right, gentlemen, another great debate we had tonight, and we need to hear from you all. What do you think? Who won that debate? And also, should a drop zone on an island be makeable? Let us know. And fellas, what do you really think here? I think you basically told your real thoughts, but how do you really feel?
I feel like you shouldn't get punished for trying to make the drop zone shot. This weekend, going for the drop zone shot was going to add another stroke to your score, no doubt about it.
You want to hear the real hot take?
Let's hear it.
Get rid of drop zones.
Last and bounds?
You want to make if you want to make them islands incredibly punitive and the kind of holes that slow a tournament down, then force someone to play stroke and distance. Look, putting a drop zone or at least not there, right? We'll just use we got a good example in professional golf. The 17th hole at Sawgrass is an island hole. There's a drop zone there, but that thing is only 20% closer than where you tee off from on the tee. You know, I don't like the drop zone being on that drop zone being on that green was the dumbest thing ever. One, there was no point to try to make it. Well, it was makeable. It was extremely makeable, and nobody tried. It was so makeable, and nobody even tried because it was extra punitive to even make the attempt. Right? Why not just put that thing either back where it used to be, or let's say halfway up that hole where, now you still have to make a shot to earn your score. But just saying because what they did on that one, it was a 2 or a 4, 2 or a 4, 2 or a 4, and sometimes it was a 3 because you don't even want to run the putt. It's a bad pin. But in drop zones in general, most of the time they're not very well thought out. I guess is why I say get rid of them.
So I actually heard something, and I don't know how real this is. So perfect time to talk about it on a podcast. But I heard that the drop zone was moved because it needed to be a certain distance from land, and they had to write something to the PDGA every year to make that drop zone happen, and they wouldn't do it this year. How real is that? Is that a thing?
No, I'm saying no.
I don't know why would that be?
I don't know.
I guess I don't understand why that would even come into play. I mean, as a tournament director, you have the ability to kind of make that drop zone wherever you want it.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, fake news. All right, here we go.
I just like I said, in most cases, I mean, it just seems where drop zones are either, I won't say lazily put in, but they're just not. They're not very well thought out in most cases, and for that reason, I don't love them. I get speed of play and all that, though. I understand why.
Maybe more of an afterthought. Like, oh yeah, we need to put a drop zone in here. Just put it right here.
I kind of like your idea of halfway down that fairway on 16. Like you said, you have to then earn it. What if you miss from the drop zone? Do you go forward, play last in bounds? What do you do then? But yeah,
but you run into a speed of play issue for one. and I get all that. We got people we got to move through, but it's I don't know. Maybe then you wouldn't have islands that are like that though. We wouldn't be able to have a hole like that because it's just so punitive. Someone's gonna lose a whole bag trying to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, show.
All right. All right, fellas. Well, good debate. We'd love to hear from you all as well. But let's move into our next segment. Weekly picks. And what a week this was. Can't wait to share with you all. All right, fellas. What a week this was. We're going to start right here with our stinks. So Ronnie had Yuli. Smitty had Joey Buckets, and I had Isaac Robinson. None of us did too hot this week, but Ronnie got the green with Yuli's top 30 finish because I had Isaac a top 10 finish and Smitty with the red with Joey Buckets a top 5 finish. Wow.
What do you mean none of us did any good? You two picked guys who did better than their average, and my guy was twice as worth as his average. What are you talking about?
Twice as worth.
Yeah,
Twice as worth.
Ronnie won this in a
Oh yeah, he's averaging inside the top 15.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's really good.
Ronnie won in a landslide. Both of our guys placed 22 better than their average.
Exactly. On the dot.
Exactly. Yeah. But I couldn't give myself a yellow because my dude could have won the tournament.
Yeah, he was there. And that last round was really, really good by Buckets. Sorry, Ronnie. That was a good pick after all.
Twice as worse, trademark Rick Belly.
What did on the commentary I heard one of them say twice as close, and it's just like, isn't that just half as far? But whatever. Twice as close. But,
I like twice as close, but I like twice as worse too.
I think that as soon as one of these stinks wins, Roadhouse for the other two guys.
Okay, I'm in. Because you know it's going to be me. I'd love to pay for you guys.
I'm picking Cupcake the rest of the year.
He's never going to win.
So sleeper, we got Goose for you two, and then that's supposed to be Evan Scott. We don't know if that's really what he looks like.
I was getting ready to say, well, who picked Sayonara?
I don't know if he just found some random picture on the internet. So
you don't know if that's him or not?
I truly don't.
It is. That's him.
Okay. He looks really young there, though. I don't think he's that young anymore.
Well, no, he's getting older every second.
So 2 reds for you boys. Goose was 43rd, and then Evan nearly a top 10, a decent pick.
Yeah, way to go, Lucas. And just like I'm off of Buckets for the stink, I'm off of Goose for the sleeper. This guy is
what's happened with the Goose, man?
Too much hanging out with Brody. He's rubbing off his terrible attitude towards disc golf.
Well, I don't know if it's his attitude. I haven't seen anything from the guy. I like watching him. I like rooting for him, but man, what a tough year to have such a phenomenal year last year, and then just to struggle like this year's tough, man.
Yeah, it's not.
That kid looks like he's 6.
I don't love the eyes either. There's something just off about the picture. I don't like it. I'm gonna get out of here. Let's move on to Shine. All right. So Ronnie with a 2 Ben. What's happening? Why is there a Ben Calloway on Ronnie and a Vinny on me? What are these little guys? Smitty updates these slides and doesn't ever double check them. So
I'm busy, man. I got other things to do.
It looks like I'm trying to throw, and Ben's holding me back, saying I can't do it.
Either that or you're throwing Ben.
I've never been happier to be behind Vinny. Apparently,
It looks like I've got him running back.
Hey, Vinny or Benny.
Hey,
All right. So Ronnie went with a win for Ben. Smitty went with a win for Vin. And I went with a win for Matty O. And things didn't turn out in my favor here. Vinny won the tournament though, so Smitty gets the green.
two in
Great
a row.
work.
2 in a row.
Yep. Let's see if you now we have Smitty cannot pick Vinny anymore.
Until
Not
we're
until
all he
all.
does is pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
Hey,
picked Vinny like 5 times.
maybe.
He's picked
Top
Vinny 8 times in 7 events.
Top 15 for Callaway. It's a pretty good pick if it's a sleeper, but for a shine, it's kind of like exactly how Casey White was. It's just not that cool anymore. Right. And then Matty O was the worst shine of all time, apparently. We all knew once I picked him, he was going to have a bad tournament. I'm sorry, Matty O. Sorry, dude.
Yep. So, you know what? At least I have the guts to pick my shine and then also pick him in Survivor. Ronnie, did you take Ben Calloway?
No, but I'm saving him. I already told you that.
Well, speaking of
I'm saving him for Des Moines Challenge.
Survivor,
That's a good
let's
spot
talk
for him.
Survivor, shall we?
We shall.
Pretty good week we had this week. We had some people stay. We also had some people go.
See ya.
Some people are watching very closely.
Oh, yeah. Some things got a little bit spicy towards the end here. All right. So here we are. Survivor League 2.0. Look at that. We had some greens this week. Quite a few of them. And these were all winners because they picked Vinny. So Smitty, Michael Schmidt, Shafe, Keeney, and Patsy all are safe because of the Heimberg pick, but they can't choose Heimberg again, not even for Worlds. And who else made it? Oh, Anthony Borello just snuck in to the top 15. I think he birdied 18 to make this happen. Is that right?
No, he was 2 shots clear. So go.
Okay, he was just fine. I'm just trying to create drama where there's not. So congratulations to Alexis, Ronnie, and Blake. We had some more greens that happened for Rick, Nick Gordon, and Tyson. They are going to advance. And then there's one more green. And it's little old me who picked Gannon. And Gannon got second. So I survive. That's right. 2 weeks in a row for Lucas. Pretty good for me. But we did have some people leave us. 2 of them. That's going to be Cooey and Ed, who both chose Matty O. So see you later, fellas. Thanks for playing. Thanks for the money.
Ed stuck around twice as many weeks as he did last time. So
Exactly. He went double G to start the year.
Poor Ed needs to maybe evaluate his picks. He's not picking some of the big dogs out there. He's trying to, he's been knocked out with double G and Matty O.
Yeah, we should probably get him on the show to make me look better.
Excuse me for a second, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patsy. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's talk about it tomorrow. You got it. Sorry. That was Patsy. We're going to talk picks tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty good at this game.
Yeah. She doesn't miss often.
I'm rolling with
Hasn't
her.
missed yet.
Hopefully. No,
Yeah. She's yet to miss. Next picks will need to be in by May 12th, and that's going to be for OTB. So, all right. And that's going to be it for the weekly picks. And fellas, we're going to sign on off. We're going to show them an awesome shot for the weekend. Tell us if you think this was the shot of the weekend, because I certainly think it is. The boys, Ronnie definitely does. Smitty's on the fence. He wanted us to do something else, like a montage of Rick on hole 4. Get out of here. We're doing the best shot of the tournament, one single shot. And you know what? It's this one. But before we show that, fellas, any shout outs for the week?
Don't have any off the top of my head.
I guess I'll say shout out to Brandon Cawthorn. He beat us all up in the MP40 division at DDO. Eagling, I'll give him a shout out because I say beat us all up. He finished one shot ahead of Dixon Jowers by eagling the 18th hole, our last hole of the tournament. So he makes eagle on the last hole to win by one. That's pretty.
Is that a par 4?
It's a 5-par hole.
Okay.
It was playing as a par 5 at Jones East, which when we come to
the flagpole hole.
No.
It's the one through the trees, the creek.
Oh yeah, down the hill and across.
Yeah, it's a par 4. It was scoring as a par 5. Even I got the 3, so obviously it wasn't all that impressive. But it's pretty impressive to do on your last hole to win the golf tournament.
Do it when it matters, right?
When you step up on 18 tied on the last hole of the event. So shout out to Brandon Cawthorn getting one of them cool blown glass trophies.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty sick.
Yeah. Kyle Taylor also got one of them glass blown trophies.
Kyle Taylor, MP50.
Yeah.
Little homeboy.
Local Wichita guy.
Local for us.
Did we see a Dirty Dan Dawkin as well?
Yes, we did.
Dirty Dan Dawkin got him one of them things too. So, which the locals ended up pretty good. And and even more locals in the MP40 division. Mike Junot ended up 4th. Luke Potts ended up 5th. Luke Potts, give him a shout out. He was the hot round for the event on Sunday. So, or
17 rated. Yep.
I went like 9 under the last round to rocket from like 12th or something like that all the way up into 5th. So shout out to Luke.
Nate Taylor, another local guy in the MP40
Nate
division,
Taylor cashes
in the mix all weekend. So
yeah, he played really well. Poor guy had one rough hole, the old flagpole hole. No, I'm sorry, 2 after the flagpole hole, the old number 2.
Right.
Unfortunately, took a couple of OB strokes on that street that can bite anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the holes. It seems like if you can dodge the cedars, you got to then it's the road that you got to worry about. But even after that, man, Nate steps up and birdies the last 2 holes to sneak into the money. So
nice.
Shout out Nate Taylor.
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
That's fantastic. And big shout out again to Emily Weatherman for coming on and doing the interview. It was awesome to get to know her. And as Smitty and I both said as we did the interview, we've become big fans. So thanks again. And thank you to all of you for watching. If you have not, again, please subscribe to the channel. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Just search for the words Wind Dummies, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Later.
And surprise, surprise, he's eyeing it up. And he has to go over the island green on 16.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it is.
That is so silly.
And just when you think AB's lost all the AB in him, he finds the AB that we expect.
Imagine having an AB arm.
That's of great power comes great responsibility, and I don't think I'm responsible enough to harness that.
Calvin arm anymore.
Boom.
More AB arm.
Yeah. Sign me up.
The new trend,
Yeah, he's trending as of the last hole. Trending.